Okay, welcome everybody to our first episode of Couch Convos, where we talk about movies, TV shows, animes, books, song lyrics, or anything we might find interesting. The idea of the series is trying to recreate the atmosphere of having a conversation with someone on the couch after you've watched a movie or TV episode or whatever.
Okay, today at the start of the series, we will be discussing the 2019 movie The Farewell. It's by director Lulu Wang, which she herself wrote based on her personal experiences as a Chinese American immigrant. The themes revolve around the experience of Billy, our Chinese American protagonist, who is grappling with her estrangement from her own culture, having moved to America at an early age. The story kicks off when she gets news that her grandmother has been diagnosed with lung cancer, and the rest of her family has chosen not to tell her grandmother. So, to start off our discussion, Jetty, what were your key takeaways or what jumped out for you from this movie?
Um, well, I guess one of the main takeaways that I had from the movie was how different the Chinese culture is to I guess what we see from Americans, and how um even somebody with a Chinese heritage, but growing up in a different country, how they would be exposed to a different culture, thus having different ideas and beliefs compared to their home culture.
Mm. Like in the film we saw different ways that they communicated their values, and this was seen probably in the dinner scene, right, where
Mm-hmm.
you see how different members of
You
the
want to show the
family,
scene?
basically, yeah, the mom and the aunt were talking about uh, basically an America versus China
Yeah.
um discussion, right? So hold up, I will pull up that scene. Okay.
Okay. So one of the things that I was thinking about was how common or how familiar the the family members seem when you compare it to like Filipino culture. Yung like when she said, what about your grandmother? Like to the dad that moved to America. So it I guess I can make a connection to the Filipino idea of utang na loob to that.
Mm-hmm.
And um I guess it's a more Asian idea, cuz like with Billy it's like later on in her conversation with her uncle, her dad's brother, it's like uh they say that the people in America are more they give more importance to the self as an individual
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
like uh when you're in a
Community or
family
family.
or a community.
Yeah. You're basically it's very opposing in terms of values, because when you're
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing yourself, um you don't really think of something that's bigger than yourself
Mm-hmm.
in a way. So when you're forced to value a family or a community, you're always thinking for the good of someone else. You're always looking out for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about you. It's that you're a part of a unit, right? So it's funny because am I allowed to jump off from that? Like
Yeah,
and
of course, go
go
go. We
and
can
talk
have
about other.
tangents here
Okay.
all we want.
Yeah. So so my tangent for that is you know how Billy at first, like when she was in America, she was very lonely. She was portrayed as someone who was very lonely in the sense that
Mm-hmm.
her grandma was even
Mm-hmm.
asking her na parang have you made any
Mm-hmm.
friends?
Yes, and
Are you like
okay,
circulating?
yeah. And I
Yeah.
want to add to that
And then
the scene where she's like at the party or at the dinner with her friends and like they're all celebrating, but like the camera is focused solely on her and she's, like
yeah,
just quiet. I think we can let's look at that scene real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah. Parang 'di ba, it really shows you she was so alone during
She's
that time
isolated,
when she
yeah.
was yeah.
And I guess
Uh,
jumping off from there, it's also very from there we can also see how an immigrant or a Chinese immigrant specifically, it's like they're still outsiders, like no matter where they
yeah.
go. Like
Mhm.
her dad said, they're American, but the Americans wouldn't really see them as Americans. They'd see them more as Chinese. And
Yeah.
later on in the when Billy is in China, especially the scene where she's going up to her hotel and the concierge or the guy helping her bring her stuff to her room. uh he keeps asking her stuff about America.
America.
So
Yeah.
it's like she's permanently a foreigner no matter where she
Yeah.
goes.
No matter where she goes. Yeah. All right, here.
Yes, this scene at the party.
Yeah.
Look at them, they're all having a good time, but you can see that she's not as into it as everyone else.
Yeah. The way the scene was executed, right? It was really focused on her, like
Hmm.
not
I guess
on the
we
whole
have to give
scene.
props to Aquafina for the performance there too.
Yeah. Very very good. You could really feel how lonely she was
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's funny also how in a way you're also introduced to her duality or her being super mixed and homogenized because aside from her getting so in like ingrained or she's assimilated into the American culture in terms of the values in terms of what yeah in terms of values talaga, so she isn't really like a um particular believer in the fact that her family shouldn't be telling the grandmother, parang
Mhm.
she's so against that, she was vehemently against that, and in America it would be illegal, in
Yeah,
China it's
that is
normal.
what she says. It's illegal.
Yeah, it's the norm, 'di ba? So she's dealing with that. But at the same time, there's also a part of her that reflect the same kind of behavior that we see in her family. Remember that time when
That's true. Yeah.
um she was she wasn't accepted into this fellowship that she was applying for. So people were asking her, "Oh, how's that fellowship going? Um,
Mhm.
have you gotten like in that already?" And she she already it was shown to the audience that she
That
already
yeah.
got the rejection
Mhm.
letter. He told no one about it, and yet this is the same girl who was so against her family not telling the grandmother
Mhm.
that she was gonna
But
die. Ganon.
okay, it's interesting that you bring that up because it also made me think that what if the reason she wasn't telling them was because you know how um Asian culture in general, they have very high expectations, like
Yeah.
academically. So I guess she didn't want to tell them because she knew that they'd just be disappointed in her.
Mhm. Yeah. And it also goes back to stopping with the piano, and her mom was giving her shit for that. Her mom was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what, that investment did not, like, I did not get a return on that investment. It did not pay off because you
Yeah.
stopped playing the piano. So stuff like that. All these sort of micro behaviors are so telling of the disparity between what she's expecting thing coming from an American value system versus what she's experiencing as a member of a Chinese family. So
Mhm.
um eventually though, like you see that this is the film also about what the protagonist really needs, right? It shows us what the protagonist is moving towards, what the protagonist's needs are that may be unmet, and how they eventually meet those needs. And so her
Mhm.
needs from the very beginning appeared to me like it was this need to belong. It was this need to be a part of a whole. Despite her individuality, despite her being strong individual person, um, she really wanted ultimately to belong. In the sense that she was so lonely around that group of friends and
Mhm.
that birthday party. Um, and she was also very isolated the time that she got to China, and every member of the family was like looking at her when she arrived on
Mhm.
like with no prior notice.
Mhm.
Like she really went against her parents' wishes, and went there on her own. So she was very isolated, and yet later on, she slowly got assimilated into the family. She eventually complied with the whole
Mhm.
culture that she was
Yeah.
initially against, right? And
Yeah.
so again, I feel like that was the ultimate fulfillment of her need to belong. Na parang this is where she felt that
Mm.
she could belong as our main character, as our
Yeah.
protagonist. Um yeah, and I think I think that's also I I really don't know how this pans out from the perspective of someone who's actually experienced that, but I would imagine that it's cathartic for you to finally have a sense of belonging, that you're not isolated anymore.
Of course. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the scene that I would say where she really finally assimilated herself into the Chinese family was like I mentioned earlier, the scene where she was the only one that ran to the hospital to catch the results and like
Yeah.
stop them from getting to her grandmother.
Mhm.
Like when I was watching it
That
at the time, I really found it so ironic that like of all the people that would have thought about stopping the the results getting to her grandmother was her, because like ever since the start of the movie it's been repeated over and over that she wants to she wants to let the grandmother know what was going on, and like everybody was telling her, no, 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 we can't do that, it's our culture. And I think uh what really drives the that scene what really makes that scene have more impact is like the scene right before, where the dad her uncle was giving a speech, and he's the one that breaks down. But when Billy gives a speech, it's like just a
her
normal.
cousin.
Yeah, at her cousin's wedding,
Uh,
it was just
Yeah,
like she controlled herself, and it was so
yeah,
funny because it's like it seemed like everybody was just waiting for her to crack and break down, but like it never happened. And it's so
yeah,
ironic that the one person that did break down was like, I guess, the most culturally in conflict with her, because like a few
yeah,
scenes earlier when they were talking, like the scene where her dad and her uncle were drinking, um where the her uncle basically explains the whole conflict of the culture and everything. Like
yeah,
you'd expect that he would be the one to to like, you know, to keep his to keep what he was to keep the word that he was saying, that we have to control our emotions, we can't let her know.
Yeah. Yeah, he had to practice what he was preaching. Ironically, he didn't though.
Hmm. And yes, yes,
Yeah.
this scene is so the family picture taking. It's like, yeah, they all look sad except Billy, who was able to force a smile
Mm-hmm.
when she smiles.
Here.
There, right there. Yeah. So I guess in a way, it's her really trying to show that um I'm trying my best to assimilate myself in the culture.
Yeah. She
And look,
really did perform her duty.
I really love the running scene actually. The music
Yeah. One
and
of the
like,
best actually in the movie,
mhm,
considering the stakes and the context before it.
mhm, yeah. I guess in a way it's like I guess one of the climaxes of the story because it's part of the question. It's answering one of the questions on whether is the grandma gonna find out or is she not gonna find out, and like this could have
Yeah.
been the climax where she finds out, but Billy was able to stop it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like ironic because the whole movie you were expecting that she'd be the one to break and tell the grandmother. But like here in this very
Mhm.
pivotal moment where it all could have finally fallen apart, she's the one that saves the day, basically.
Yeah. I feel like this is even better. This scene is even made even better because of the payoff at the end, where was it the end or the end credits?
The very, very end, yeah.
Yeah, where we saw that the grandma actually lived for 6 more
Yeah.
years. Parang if the result had been any different, like if the grandmother actually passed away, um in how many months was that? Basta in the
Like
number
three
of
months.
months that, yeah, in 3 months. If the grandmother did pass away within that time period, this would have been like this wouldn't have paid off as well because it affirms
Yeah.
kasi the
Yeah.
values that um
I guess
they were talking about
I
in the
guess it
movie,
goes
right?
back to the quote at the beginning, the when you get cancer you die.
Yeah.
It's the news, and it's the
Mm-hmm,
fear
mm-hmm.
of cancer that kills you, not the
Yeah,
cancer
it's not the
itself.
cancer, it's the fear. Here we go. Chinese people have a saying, when people get cancer, they die. It's not cancer that kills them, it's a fear, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. I feel like also there's also some value to that. Not to say that this is like morally correct.
Mhm.
I won't go there, but um this is also reflective of what they value. Na they also do care about well-being,
Yeah.
not just your
Mhm.
actual health,
Cuz
not
yeah,
just the performance really.
remember later on during the conversation with the uncle, he says uh it's our burden to bear as her family,
Yeah,
just like when the husband of Nai died, that she carried the
he
burden.
didn't know either. Yeah,
So yeah, I guess it's really just,
here we go. This is very nice.
yeah. Yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes from the movie.
Yeah. I feel like this is the soul of the movie. Like
This
the
scene, yeah.
message. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, right here we have the uncle who represents the strictly Chinese culture, and
yeah,
then the father of Billy, who's more on the American side, and then Billy, trying to come to terms with both sides.
uh-huh. Here. This is the uncle who migrated but to Japan, 'di ba?
Japan, yeah.
East also. Yeah. So similar,
Mhm.
adjacent ang values.
Mhm.
Ayan.
Mhm. Mhm. This is very Chinese philosophy, actually. Um,
Yeah.
the
Duty
whole
eh.
yes,
Confusion siya.
yes, it's very
Very
confusion.
confusing.
Like
Yeah.
the role of family talaga, cause like for the Chinese talaga, family comes before everything else. Like
Yeah.
because correct me if I'm wrong. I think in Chinese philosophy, the family is the most basic unit, or it's the very first community that you inhabit, and
Yeah.
they believe they believe that like everything else is built on that. So if family your family relationships, or like your bedrock isn't isn't stable, everything else falls apart. Like
Yeah.
for the Chinese, like if you don't, oh well, I guess for them it's like if okay, let me try to recall, because I recall there was this one, I'm not sure if it was a Confucian analect or something.
Mhm.
Basta the story
Yeah.
goes that um there was a father and the son, and then the son stole something from the father, and instead of reporting it to the uh and the father, he didn't report it to the authorities. So, and then Confucius says that in this situation, what the father did is correct, because basically I think what he was trying to say is that um if there are these issues that you can resolve within the family, you that's what you do. And because if you like if you reported to the authorities that, oh, my son stole from me, it's like you're basically saying that you don't have a good you don't have a good um you don't have a good family, like what's it? I don't know what to say, how to say it, like
Yeah. Agree. Yeah. And parang the whole value system of filial piety,
yeah, there, filial
basically,
piety, that's the
yeah.
yeah.
Yes. It teaches you kasi your place in society. Like, for example, you learn
Yes.
this as a kid pa lang eh. It's part of what you've been trained for as a kid, na you're taught to know your place in the family, that there's a hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
and that meron ka dapat utang na
Mm-hmm.
loob, meron kang
Yes. Yes.
reverence towards
Yes.
elders.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
so this is so key in
It's
Chinese
it's
society and in a
very
communist
important talaga. I mean, I thought
society.
of one more thing. Another very good example.
Uh-huh.
Mulan.
Yeah.
The
Dishonor on you, on your cow.
okay, no, not that scene. um, yung yung scene na when her dad got recruited, And
Oo,
then
OG siya eh.
oh, OG siya gago. And
Hindi
then
ko
parang
kailangan ng chain, gago.
nung dinner nila, it's like Mulan was angry na parang, oh, you shouldn't have to do this. You've already served once, ganon. And then the dad
Yeah.
says, I know my place. It's time you learned
Mm,
yours. So parang
yeah. Yeah.
sobrang important talaga sa Chinese culture
To know your
yung to
place.
know your place. Because I guess
Yeah, because knowing your
because
place is
it's
key in being a part of a whole, of
because
a community.
in a way it's like um okay, sorry, medyo philosophy na yung pinag-uusapan ko. Um
Yeah, go.
from what I learned, um it's like justice and how you reach the ideal society. Na parang
Mhm,
I
mhm.
guess it's very similar to to Plato na for the society to function properly, each person has to perform their role. Like
Yeah,
they can't like go above, they can't like go below. It's like they really have to fulfill their role in society. Kasi nga, I guess it goes back to how the Chinese culture, they focus more on the whole. There is no
yeah,
focus on the individual.
yeah, yeah. Na parang you don't live your life for yourself, in the words of the uncle. Um, in a way, you know how in in Nietzsche, parang yung genealogy of morals, it's kind of
Mhm.
like the slave morality na, um, okay, so really bad analogy, but you know how there's a master morality and slave morality, diba?
Yes.
Where the master morality is basically it's similar to, in this whole analogy, it's similar to the American values of individuality, living for oneself, serving yourself,
Mhm.
um like not being, um like basically using your power. The slave morality is really hinged on, the whole value of self-denial. So,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, so self-denial talaga siya. Parang when you're doing the opposite of the master morality, that's more admirable. Yun yung slave morality.
Mhm.
So going back, um, I feel like yun yung values of Chinese society na, or Chinese culture rather, na self-denial is good, inherently good,
Mhm.
because you're doing something that's bigger than yourself.
Yes.
It it's not just for yourself. Um, but it's good because even though you're depriving yourself, it's in service of something that's bigger
Mhm.
than you. It's in service of a
Yes.
larger cause.
Mhm. I guess in a way naisip ko lang din. Um I guess this kind of, you can see good and bad in every culture. And I guess syempre for us we'd think na like what they're doing to Nainai is immoral. But then yun nga,
Mm,
it's their culture. And I guess um in a way these ideas of community and putting importance to family, um they also have like the way I see the good in it is like if you compare American families, like it's very common for American families, like when somebody turns 18, they move out. Like they cut tie.
yeah,
If they didn't like the family, they'd probably like cut ties with them, ganon. Or like,
yeah. And old age,
and yes, old age,
homes for the aged.
very common yung just making your parents or grandparents go into home for the aged. But like for the
Mm-hmm.
Chinese or even the Filipinos, My goodness, you'd never do that. And I guess
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so. I guess in a way, there's good and bad in every culture, but like we can't really um I wouldn't really call it immoral, cause uh because okay, I guess when you do it like a specific case to case basis, like specifically for the farewell, like from an outsider's perspective, like Billy, of course you'd think na, oh my god, what we're doing is so bad. But then yun nga, parang once you see the whole, and like you don't just look at the specific acts, you really look at their motivations behind it and why they do it, you have a much better understanding of why it's this way. And I guess that's what the movie was trying to say in its whole runtime. Na ayun nga, at the start, I guess in a way Billy is a stand-in for the audience as well, no? Na parang na parang yun nga, initially, like as a viewer, I mean me personally as a viewer, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so crazy. I can't believe they're going this far to deceive the
Right. It's
grandma."
an elaborate movie.
Like like the fact that they even arranged a whole
A wedding,
wedding,
a fake
a
wedding.
fake wedding just for it. It's like syempre, outsider's perspective, you're like, "Oh my god, this is so crazy. I can't imagine doing something like this." But then
Yeah, but it's normalized there.
if that's your life and that's what you've been taught like since you were a kid, you wouldn't see anything wrong with it. Like I mean, I guess like the uncle ni Billy
Yeah.
na na like she called out na selfish nga yung wanting to tell them so that you don't have to carry the burden. Like I mean, I guess I get what he was trying to say. So I guess yeah, that's where cultural relativism comes in.
Mm. Yeah. I feel like also what helped Billy accept it, how normalized it was when she found out. What was it? When Billy found out that even her grandmother did that for
For
her
her
grandpa.
grandpa. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And so dun niya
I
siguro
think yes,
nalaman na it's
that was a big turning
acceptable.
point.
Yeah, because even her grandma did it, 'di
Mm-hmm.
ba? So she must have expected that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like it's also parang may solution aversion din um in a way na okay, when solution aversion, by solution aversion pala, I mean um when a problem presents itself and you don't have a solution to the problem, you're just gonna pretend the problem doesn't exist. So I don't have to think of a solution, but there's no problem. So I feel like that might be the case for them. Um, like for their culture, I mean, uh, to normalize not telling a dying member of the family. Kasi it's big on them to cite themselves out na parang,
Mm-hmm.
if this isn't gonna be a yeah, if they don't know, then it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kasi when they start problematizing, that might be the cause of of any stress. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yun nga. Like it
it's
goes back to
not really to them.
it's the fear that kills them.
Yeah, the fear that kills them. Yeah. Yeah.
So, would you say that The Farewell is a must watch?
Mm.
For me, I feel
Yeah.
like if you were a Chinese
Mm-hmm.
American immigrant,
Definitely.
it's a definite
Yeah.
must watch.
I feel
Because
like
I
you have
guess one
to
thing is
look at like
it's a very
lenses.
good it I mean, I guess the reason why it's a very good representation of their culture is because it was written by somebody who is a Chinese
Yeah.
American immigrant. And she
Yeah.
actually wrote it
So
from
better.
an actual personal
Experience.
experience.
Yeah. It's a lived experience talaga. So um for sure there are some parts that are specific to the writer.
Hmm.
And yet the whole story can be very universal for people
Definitely.
who from the same background.
Yeah. I mean, even me as a Filipino, there were a number of scenes where I felt like, oh my god, I know exactly what they're talking about. Especially
Yeah,
during the
'di
dinner
ba?
scene. The dinner scene, I was like, oh my god, I'm sure there are people like this.
Yeah,
Especially
even
yung
in
okay,
even
yeah.
in a lot of Filipino families may gano'n pa rin.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, na parang, like the values are so different, and so they look down on um the values of individuality,
Yeah.
freedom, American
Yung
freedom.
yeah, yung utang na loob. Ganon.
Yeah.
I also think it's a must watch based on the music. There were so many scenes where the the music really added to the scene. There are a lot of scenes where Billy is just on the screen and she looks like she's just thinking, or yeah, and the music really adds to those scenes too, and it kind of communicates in a way the mental the mental state that Billy is in.
Yeah, no need for some VO
Mhm.
monologue, eh.
Mhm.
Like the music is enough to fill in the gaps, the emotional
Yes.
gaps. It
Yes.
narrates na rin what's going on inside.
And in a way, I actually don't know how to explain it, but the music, it I don't know how it it sounded very Chinese.
Yeah, I think that was what it was
I guess yeah,
supposed
that
to.
is what they were going for.
Or, a personal favorite was the scene where Billy was playing the piano. Na
Oh
I
yeah.
love scenes like those where
Yes.
the main character like is going through a very emotionally heavy moment
Mhm.
in their lives, and then they block out the noise,
Mhm.
music or whatever,
And
and
remember, a few
to
scenes
sing.
before that,
Yeah,
she said that she stopped playing the piano.
yeah. So interesting how she picked up picked it up again in that
Yeah.
moment talaga. So yeah, one of my favorites. Aside from the music, also I think the cinematography, especially the way
Ooh, there
Billy
was
gets
one.
framed,
My favorite shot of the movie was near the end. Well, I guess technically
where they
the
were walking
ending.
all together
No, 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 no.
or
When Billy was
looking
saying
back
bye to her, yes, and
the cab,
the
right?
camera was inside the cab and like it was like moving away. I was like, oh my god, I could
Yeah,
feel
and before
it,
that, right,
it was such a
there is also
heartbreaking
a scene.
scene.
Yeah, I cried. There is also a scene before that as well where it's from the other side of the cab naman. Outside of the cab, Billy was trying to look back when they were passing by the grandma's
Mhm. Yes,
house, old house.
her old house that got demolished already.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah,
I
that's
think that's
another.
kind of symbolic too. How we never really got to discuss this. I just realized it now. That whole um scene or whatever. with her seeing the ruins of her old home. It was it's very thematic because like she's going home, but her home isn't really
Yeah.
there anymore. Because
Displaced child.
exactly, yeah, parang yun nga na she's
When
not
it's
at
bad, she
home
was
even
really
in her
given time to
home.
mourn. Yeah. And she couldn't even mourn that loss.
Yeah,
Parang she's expected to just act like it's normal and
yeah.
like deal with it.
I guess for me the highlight uh the acting highlight would be to Aquafina because
Oh yeah.
I mean generally she's known for her comedic roles from Crazy Rich Asians or even Shang-Chi, but like she really showed her acting chops here, especially the
Yeah.
scene near the end where she was talking about her grandpa. I think that was her best acted scene. And
Like that breakdown when they were looking for the earring.
yeah, oh my god, yeah. And her eyes or her facial expressions in general are very expressive. There were I mean, I guess that's what the director took advantage of. Like there were a lot of scenes where she's just there and like she doesn't really talk. I guess
Mhm.
credit to Aquafina for being able to portray all those emotions just through her face, her body.
Mhm. Yeah. Especially during that time that she just arrived the, in China.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I
Everyone like
yeah. And I think she's perfectly cast because um she just learned Chinese. Like she doesn't really speak Chinese. She only learned it for the movie. And I think that's so perfect for her character because like you wouldn't like growing up in America, you'd expect na she doesn't really speak Chinese that well. And it's clear that her Chinese isn't it's it's an Americanized Chinese, I guess. Not
Mhm. Yeah.
the Chinese of like mainlanders, I guess.
She's never been exposed that much to the
Mhm.
culture.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What other parts of the movie makes it a
Um
must watch?
okay, well I can't think of anything much more
Okay, okay.
really.
Oh, I forgot. I also like how in general there's no scene that's useless. Like
Yes, yes.
even the scene in okay, let me show it
Yeah.
quickly. So the scene where the dad has some guests over for dinner, and then he talks about how the cat got on the roof, right?
I don't
So
remember this.
here, yeah. So one day the wife goes out of town, and when she returns, the husband says, "Honey, the cat is dead."
Oh.
Right? So like,
I didn't notice that.
yeah, even this is very cohesive. Like it already clues you in on what's gonna
Mhm.
happen and what the point is.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right. Okay,
yeah. So
I
like
also want to
even
point out
hidden
this scene.
joke.
Um
Uh huh.
the scene right after Billy breaks down crying because of her dad, her lolo.
Uh huh.
Um remember how in the when they visited the grandpa's um the grandpa in the cemetery, the mom
Mm, yeah.
the nai was like oh he stopped smoking, But then the son was like, the uncle was like, oh, he never stopped smoking. And then Billy breaks down, ganon ganon. And then later on, when she after the scene when she breaks down, when she's in her room, uh there's smoke outside her window.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, yeah, it was the smoke came from somebody smoking downstairs. But for her, I'm sure seeing that right after she broke down about him, I
Her
bet
grandpa,
I
yeah.
bet it meant something to her.
Yeah, she
I guess
assigned meaning to that
I
na
guess
parang, oh, that's probably
it's
grandpa.
like kasi 'di ba she said na like she never got closure on it. So I
Yeah,
guess that was for her that was it.
yeah.
I love that part.
Um, what was the bird doing in her room
Oh, I actually
right
have no
before
idea
she
what
went
the bird means. I still have no idea what
there?
the bird means.
Interesting, because it
It followed
she
her,
also
eh.
mentioned,
Like
yeah,
I
she
mean,
also
okay, it
mentioned
wasn't
na
the
it
same
didn't,
bird, but like yeah.
yeah, it didn't like have any window open to pass through. So that was interesting also. I think that was before she found out that
Yeah, it was. It
her grandma
was.
lung cancer.
So yeah.
That's already like the writer na.
Yeah, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure it means something.
Yeah, for sure. Probably something ano in Chinese culture, maybe.
Probably.
Maybe a superstition or whatever.
Yeah. Like I guess the superstition in the Philippine culture na like
Yung butterfly
the
lolo mo
butterfly.
ba,
Yes, that's
gano'n?
exactly what I was thinking. The butterfly.
Moth? Yeah, yeah, mga
Yeah.
gano'n.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we can wrap it up here.
Okay, yes. I don't know how we should close this.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I just realized that we didn't make a closer.
Yeah. How should we like, okay,
So, well, okay, so this was our first attempt at a couch convo. Well, I had fun. I had a lot of fun discussing the farewell.
mhm,
What about you?
same here. I had a lot of fun. I feel like this is a recorded version of all the times that we had to process a movie after.
Yeah.
Like, you know how normal people watch movies and just move on with their lives.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that movie was nice. But us, we go through like an
Yeah, we have
existential
to
crisis.
we have to break it down. We have to
Yeah.
discuss it.
So this is
So
basically
yeah.
just an archive of
This
our
is
conversations
this is
now.
just our first try. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our next episode. We don't know yet what we'll be talking about, but you can be sure that we will have another discussion on Couch Convos.
Yes. Thanks for joining us on Couch Convos. Uh, hopefully you'll find that this movie was a must watch for you too.
Yes. So check out The Farewell, especially if you're a Chinese American immigrant. I
Yeah.
feel like you're the perfect audience for this film.
Diaspora. Yeah.
So yeah, there you have it. Thank you for staying with us the whole way if you're still here. And I guess we'll see you next time.
On Couch Convos.